Catholic families are being told to drop out of the public schools by public schools administrators if they want to avoid LGBTQ propaganda in kindergarten. Public school administrators are not bothering to tell prospective parents to drop out of the public schools if they actually expect their children to learn how to read, write, and do math. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. You heard that right? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting of classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our friends at MyPillow. In addition to all their great regular deals, MyPillow is going back to their roots by offering their premium MyPillow valued at $70 for just $30. All you have to do is use our access code. That's the Dr. Duke, DRDUKE access code. Visit mypillow.com and save up to 66% on all other items as well. Again, DRDUKE. Today, we started in Atlanta. This is unbelievable. So a young Catholic mom found out what was going on in these public schools, that at 5-year-old, they are going to be exposed to LGBTQ propaganda, trans propaganda. They're going to have highly sexualized, for 5-year-olds, classrooms. And so when the mother asked for a way around this, she was told by the school administrators, go to a Catholic school. There's nothing you can do to avoid this. Go to a Catholic school. And again, I was teasing a little bit in the opener, but this is the funny thing, right? That you can't get the public schools to commit to teaching math and writing and English and history. They won't do it. And they won't commit to doing that primarily. So they're not going to do that, but they're going to tell you to your face, we are not getting rid of all of that radical sex in the 5-year-old classroom. We can't guarantee your kids are going to be literate when they graduate, but they're definitely going to get this stuff, is the one thing the public schools can guarantee.
Which is actually interesting to note, because they used to kind of deny that they would be teaching
That's
this.
right.
Now they're outright just saying,
And
they're out.
Go
and
away.
they're saying, we are teaching this. And that's what we're seeing with critical race theory. No, we're not teaching this. And that's where they were with all this sexualization stuff years back. And pretty soon they will finally be like, okay, yes, we are teaching critical race theory, and still we will not have kids who are able to read, write, or do math.
What do you predict? 6 months, 2 years, 3 years? When will they finally say, you know what, you're right. We're not the least bit interested in teaching any subject matter. We're going full progressive all the time. How far are we away from that?
Maybe next school year.
Yeah, it's coming faster.
If school year even happens this year, so maybe coming, next school year.
They're basically telling you that now.
Within the next 2-3 years tops, for sure. Well, this Atlanta couple, again, they are Catholic, and so they took a look at their kids' teachers' Amazon wish list. All right, the teacher that their child would be going to has an Amazon classroom wish list of books, and on that list were several books that we've talked about before, but they include Stella Brings the Family, and that tells the story of a gay couple. I Am Jazz, and that talks about transgenderism. And Our Class is a Family, and that encourages kids to view the classroom, instead of the parents, as their source of support. That's because our class is the family, not our family is the family. So that same kindergarten teacher, they found out, has posted pictures on her public Twitter account, so you could see it, promoting all the progressive things and anti-racist ideology. So they're marrying the two all together. Like, this is all the kit and caboodle that your kid's education will look like. And in one of the pictures that was on this account, the teacher was seen wearing a shirt that reads anti-racist. And in another, the teacher posted a photo of her coffee, because we like to take a picture of a book and a coffee next to it and put it on our social media. You've done it. Just admit it. And the coffee was sitting next to Ibram X. Kendi's lovely book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. Well, isn't that delightful? Just ruined the coffee. Should have taken it and dumped it right on the book. Now, the family that we're talking about chooses to be anonymous because of fear of retribution, which in this case is warranted. I could understand why they wouldn't want to be announced with their names. But they were reaching out to the Morningside Elementary School principal, Audrey Sofianos, in hopes of getting explained. But as you said, what did Sofianos say? Well, basically, go away. Just bye. But here's the actual story. We feel it would be best for both you and your family or actually this is the parents saying it to them first, because they just wanted to get the child removed to a different classroom, not even kicked out of school, but she said, we would feel it'd be best for both you and our family if our child was moved to another classroom that could be more accommodating towards our concerns regarding the book topics. And that was the dad writing that. We believe in accepting all people and want all children to feel welcome in school, but believe there are ways to do that without reading books explicitly celebrating any specific lifestyle or belief, whether it be the lifestyle or beliefs we share or ones we disagree with. We cannot sacrifice our religious beliefs and will have to find an alternative even this late in the process. That sounds too logical and reasonable and understanding.
But it's so logical. Why does dad have to write it?
Exactly.
I mean,
yes.
to not know that this is what you're up against and to say we might have to go away. I mean, maybe if you don't accommodate us, they're not going to accommodate you. And even if they were to accommodate you a little bit on this, do you not think your kids were going to be filled with, from head to toe in these public schools, with things that are completely anathema to your faith? I mean, I get it, Dad. And my point is to you, if after what you heard, you keep those kids in those schools, no matter what Atlanta school does, you're the problem, sir. You know the problem. Why are you arguing? I mean, why are you arguing? With all due respect, this is going to sound like an outrageous statement, but you're arguing with the devil here. You're sitting down with the devil and trying to reason with him. They're going to do this to your kids, she said to you. We are going to prioritize for your 5-year-olds race, class, and gender, not colors and shapes and the alphabet. We're going to spend our time taking your 5-year-old and dragging her through a socially progressive, anti-Christian worldview. What is there to negotiate?
Well, that's why Sofianos wrote back with that response, saying, I want you and your family to be a part of Morningside because it's an amazing school. But the reality is we are a school that does represent everybody, and the reason the teacher has a book collection is to pull out a book when the topic is appropriate with the spirit of everyone feeling like they belong.
Where is the representation for Christians? Where in your curriculum? Where is the book? Where is the text? Where is the lesson that accommodates Christian worldview? It's not there. And so when the principal says, we want to accommodate everybody, she's lying in your face.
And then the principal said that this whole learning about gender, sexual orientation, all that, it doesn't begin any specific age. It's just a K-12 thing.
It's all over the place,
K-12 thing. Whatever a K-12 thing means.
Which that's a fancy way of saying, doesn't matter what grade it is. If you think that's going to end after kindergarten, you are sadly mistaken.
All right, before we move on, just a quick reminder that the best way to access our content is to download our Freedom Project Media app. Simply search Freedom Project in your app store, download, and then make sure you allow for notifications. Also, if you like listening to the audio podcast, we are available on Apple, Google, SoundCloud, and everywhere else. Let's move on. Because we need to stay just right where we were in the Atlanta of Georgia. I don't know what is going on in Atlanta, Georgia, but apparently segregation by race, back in the day it used to be frowned upon, and now in Atlanta, of all places, hey, let's do it. Why not? We have a black mother who is just not having this whole idea that we should be segregated. The mom is named Kyla Posey, and she recently learned that her child's Atlanta public elementary school, Mary Lynn Elementary, was going to be segregated by race. Let's take a look.
Kyla Posey says she was stunned when she learned about classes segregated by race at Mary Lynn Elementary last year, a practice she says was put in place and condoned by Principal Sharon Briscoe. Posey says she found out the school was putting black students in 2 separate classes with 2 separate teachers. The white kids were placed in 6 classes with 6 different teachers. The parent says she found this out when she let Briscoe know she wanted her child placed in the classroom of a teacher she thought would be a good fit. Posey says the principal said that wouldn't work.
She said that that's not one of the black classes, and I immediately said, what does that mean? I was confused. I asked for more clarification. I was like, we have those in the school? And she proceeded to say that, yes, I have decided that I'm going to place all of the black students in 2 classes.
Posey says she insisted her child be placed in a class with white students. She says Briscoe explained her child would be isolated.
And I explained to her she shouldn't be isolated or punished, because I'm unwilling to go along with your illegal and unethical practice.
How have we moved 1 ounce from Selma, Alabama? Just one. Just one. Here it is, 2021, for God's sake. 2021. And you have a black mother demanding that her black child be put in classrooms with white people in them. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of twilight zone have we entered here?
Well, and it's being defended, as you heard in the story, by the principal, Sharon Briscoe, who said, again, as you heard, that her child would be isolated in the desired classroom because there would be the white kids. It wasn't an all black class. So if by simply allowing children to be children amongst one another, learning, hopefully being educated together,
This black
this is where
principal
we're at.
is Bull Connor.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
A
Bull
modern
Connor.
day
without
Bull
the hoses
Connor.
and the
Without-
dogs, right? She's Bull Connor. She is putting kids in classrooms by virtue of their race.
Yep.
This is separate but not equal, is what this is.
This is true.
The mom is right. How is this even legal?
Well, in the simple fact that they had 8 classes and they had to take a look at them and they're like, we're going to have 2 for black kids, we're going to have 6 for white kids. How is that even?
Let's play the game. I'm a radical progressive left winger.
Yes, you are.
All right. I'm the same worldview of this idiot principal.
Mm-hmm.
I walk into that school and I see 6 different classrooms with nothing but white kids. I scream racism. And so she can have it both ways as a progressive woman, right? She has the right to discriminate in the nature of race. To make black kids feel comfortable, not to have to be around whitey, I can segregate them. And then when you come into my school and see 6 full classes of white kids, we can also claim that structural racism exists here. We need more money from the state.
Yay. Is this how we get
This
to
is
do
the
this?
world you live in. This is when they call critical race theory a racial grift, a con game, a shell game. This is what they mean.
And taking a look at what Posey also said, she said, we've lost sleep trying to figure out, like, why would a person do this? First, it was just disbelief that I was having this conversation in 2020, this was already this last year, with a person that looks just like me, a black woman. It's segregating classrooms. You cannot segregate classrooms. You can't do it. And so she filed a complaint. She's filed a discrimination complaint with the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights, and her complaint argues that the school violated Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which claims that no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance, aka all public school systems
Right.
in the whole United States of America. And the fate of a discrimination complaint, we know in 2021 era, it's being turned into the Department of Education,
and ironic,
which
who's in charge of
currently,
the Department of Education?
well,
Cardona and the liberal progressives.
or if you go all the way up the chain,
all the way up.
Joseph, I'm confused, Biden.
Joe Biden is setting aside all that COVID money to bribe states to take grants to put critical race theory in. And what this principal's doing is critical race theory. And yet, ironically, how many times have we said it? I testified here in Wisconsin last week about this, and we had one ignorant senator, Senator Larson, who said, there's no critical race in our theory. Our kids don't learn that stuff. What are you talking about? I never heard about critical race theory till I walked into and he's on the education board.
Oh,
I never heard
good
of
to know.
critical race theory till I walked in this hearing. And for the whole day, that was his argument, right? There's no critical race theory. It's not there. And yet, here you see it. And it's all across Wisconsin, too. This is the put your head in the sand left. How many contradictions, illegal hypocrisies does all of this social engineering create? And all they do is they put their head in the sand. As long as they'll keep white kids studying alone is racist, black kids studying alone is progress. How do you square that circle? Senator Larson has no ideas.
It's that time of week, everyone. Time to go to Loudoun, Virginia.
Oh, jeez. Jeez, Mom.
Back in good old Loudoun. This time, in front of the school board, we've had students, we've had parents, and now we have a teacher, not just yelling at the school board, actually quitting. Basically, this teacher decided to stand up and then bow out. Her name is Laura Morris. She's now a former 5th grade teacher at Luckett's Elementary School in Leesburg, Virginia. And she quit in front of the school board as she tearfully protested against the controversial policies, CRT, sexualization, all of the stuff that we've been talking about. So let's take a look.
I was told in one of my so-called equity trainings that white, Christian, able-bodied females currently have the power in our schools, and that, quote, this has to change. Clearly, you've made your point. You no longer value me or many other teachers you've employed in this county. So since my contract outlines the power that you have over my employment in Loudoun County Public Schools, I thought it necessary to resign in front of you. School board, I quit. I quit your policies, I quit your trainings, and I quit being a cog in a machine that tells me to push highly politicized agendas on our most vulnerable constituents, the children. I will find employment elsewhere. I encourage all parents and staff in this county to flood the private schools.
So white, able-bodied Christian women are the problem.
Yes, now
They have all the power. White, able-bodied, and Christian.
I feel so much power
That's
right
the Democrat that you got, the demographic that you got to look out for.
now.
Those white men teaching in the schools. And that's the problem.
It's the women. Yeah, the women.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, Laura Morris was a teacher in Loudoun for 5 years and has been a teacher for 10 years overall. And she was actually supposed to be moving up from 4th grade teaching this past year up to 5th grade. And she was very excited about getting to move with her kids. And then all this chaos ensued, and so now she decided to resign, and as she said, she will obviously find employment somewhere else.
I've
doing
said before,
what? I don't know.
what's so sad about this, there's not a response from the school board.
No, we did get a spokesperson
But I
about
mean, at that moment, she's testifying. She quits right before every one of those elected school board members. Not a word.
Yes,
What-
and I
what-
know you've
what
made
came
you
later?
okay. I know you've pointed this out many times before. Anytime though there is public comments, the school board is not allowed. If you're going to follow the rules,
Right.
you're not allowed to comment on anything. Now, whether or not that gets put as an agenda item or someone brings it up during free speak time,
So that
but
tells us
during
something,
that,
right? All of this testimony falls on deaf ears. So what are they going to? They're not going to talk to you. They're not going to change anything. But we do have a spokesman's response to this, right?
Oh, yes. The spokesperson response is that the school district does not comment on personnel matters.
There's your response.
That's the entire response.
That's the only response from the school board in the school. Okay,
That's
good.
all you get. And that's, I mean,
Yeah.
this just goes to show, I mean, this is exactly what we've been talking about all summer, back in the spring, back in the winter, back in the summer before that. This is what happens in our school systems. They don't
Listen.
listen.
They don't care.
So I know we've been yelled at many a time by some of you saying that, well, the teachers in my district aren't like that, and don't rag on my teacher. I'm a teacher and I'm not like that. Fair point. We finally have a really solid example here of a teacher who does care. And what is it that happens to the teachers who truly do care? They are forced out because they are told that they can't do anything else.
And this is the problem. Who's going to make them do anything? The public schools have become so we talk about anti-racism. The public schools have become anti-public. They are anti-mom and dad. They are anti-family. They are anti the people who pay their salaries. They don't care. You have a president. You have a Department of Education. You've got the liberal educrats that infest education in every state across this union at every level. Who's going to tell them no? Who's going to say you can't do that? What power? I mean, Ron DeSantis comes the closest to anybody getting this done. And he's already got school districts suing to wear masks and to defy the governor. So even in the best circumstance, there doesn't seem to be anybody who has the absolute power to just say no to these people. They're going to do whatever they want to do. And the fact that that's happened in a so-called free country demonstrates that this isn't a free country. If that's what happens in a country like America, where the educational industrial complex can just do whatever it wants without any input or any controlling factor, you're not living in a free country anymore, are you, America? Ugly. Ugly stories about ugly educrats teaching people in treating people in very ugly ways. Let's take a look at Instant Classics, where we're going to try to insert a little beauty amidst all of that ugly, a way of coming back to reality and going back to some biblical truth, some real education. I haven't done this a lot in Peter Paul Rubens Week, and so let me do it a little bit here at this moment. For those of you who don't know very well the periods we're talking about, Rubens was born in 1577, died in 1640. This is the heart of the Baroque period, the Counter-Reformation in Europe. He was a Flemish artist and a diplomat for the Duchy of Brabant in the southern Netherlands, modern-day Belgium. He is considered one of the most influential artists of the Flemish Baroque tradition. His highly charged positions, his canvases, reference erudite aspects of classical and Christian history. So he's a true Renaissance man. His work goes back to the classics, and it goes back to the Bible. We saw yesterday in the painting The Three Graces, which goes back all the way to the Greek classics. Now we're going to look at a picture called Samson and Delilah, taken from the Bible, right? This is a great story. Rubens here in this picture portrays the very moment when Samson, the Nazarite, God's chosen hero, has fallen asleep on Delilah's lap. And Samson had been warned multiple times that foreign women who believed in gods other than the one God of Israel, that was going to be the death of Samson. And there he is. He cannot. She was a Philistine. He was a Nazarite Jew. This was never going to work. And so you're showed here by Rubens the moment of betrayal. Samson has fallen across Delilah's lap. The implication is that sex has occurred, right? This is the drowsy moments after sex. She still has not fully dressed, Delilah, and he's passed out from drink, a combination of drink and sex. And at that moment, she summons in the betrayer. Notice how the man cutting Samson's hair has his hands crossed. That's a sign of betrayal. Notice that in the hallway on the right, you see other soldiers. When he has lost his power, you may remember from the story of Samson, all of his powers, physical powers, was contained in his hair. And that when that hair would be cropped or cut, his power would wane too. So she has basically gotten Samson drunk. He didn't need a lot of help. A moment of carnal delight. He's sleeping like a child. This monster of a man stretched across her lap. And now the Philistines are shaving him, cutting his hair, taking away his power. They're about to enslave him. And it's a morality play, too. If you look at the face of Delilah and look at the face of the old crone standing right above her, she's a procuress. She's most likely a pimp. She's a woman, a whorehouse madam who oversees these kinds of transactions. So Rubens is trying to suggest to you that this is an act of whoredom. It's not even just a relationship between two consenting adults. But if you look carefully at the face of Delilah and look carefully at the face of the pimp, the procuress, you will see that she, the older woman, looks a lot like Delilah older in life. One wonders if this is the morality play, right? That for all of Delilah's beauty and her moment of triumph here, her future is very, very questionable to have done what she did to one of the Lord's anointed.
All right, if you enjoy our content, please support us by joining the Patriot Club. Your one-time $99 tax-deductible donation allows us to bring you stories every day. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up, and of course, we will ship you our signature tumbler as a little thank you. Now, we do want to take a moment to show some love to our Patriot Club members, and today we're giving the shout-out to William from Iola, Wisconsin. William, thank you for supporting us.
That is 3 or 4 Wisconsinites in a row.
We love 'em.
Big brought ups to you, Wisconsin, for supporting the homegrown team. We really, really dig that. Cheese for everybody. And that wraps up this show. Not wrapped up cheese, by the way. Really fresh Wisconsin cheese. I'm Dr. Duke Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.